Module 5, basically two methods, two important points have been pointed out. One is your Kuhn-Tucker conditions, and another is transformation methods, right? So let me see how many students have joined. Okay, 10 have joined, so we can start our today's discussion. Any query from the previous discussion, that is Kuhn-Tucker method, Kuhn-Tucker conditions? Okay. So we in basic actually in your syllabus only these two points have been mentioned. That is the Kuhn-Tucker condition and another is transformation methods. Okay, but when we talk about yes, yes, Neeraj. Huh. Okay, so this is our Kuhn-Tucker PPT, right? Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. हाँ. अच्छा, एक सेकेंड रुको. हाँ. Mhm. Maybe let me read it. Maybe there might be some error also. Okay, let me see. So you are saying Gj is less than equal to 0. Okay, so then lambda j is non-positive. Okay, okay. I think it is a error at this slide. Okay, so because obviously when your this gj is less than equal to 0, your value of lambda j is greater than equal to 0. So obviously this value should be positive. Okay, so this is a typo error. Okay, yes. Yeah, we will correct it and I will upload the fresh PDF for this. Okay, so this has to be positive. I think example has been done correctly solved, right? Yeah. Yes, yeah. This is a error. Okay, we will remove it. Okay. Yes. Actually, yes, yes. There is some issue on the hosting side, so I could not upload. Actually, I uploaded, then it got removed. I have shifted my hosting server, so I will update all the PPT remaining PPTs today, right? Okay, Neeraj. Yeah. Don't worry, I will upload today. Okay, so we should move ahead and take care of this correction in slide 4 of your Kuhn-Tucker conditions. Okay, I will upload it again. So, as I told that in this module 5, we have discussed Kuhn-Tucker conditions already and we have solved one problem. Okay, and I also gave one practice problem. I hope some of you have tried to solve this practice problem. Then when we talk about these Kuhn-Tucker conditions, these Kuhn-Tucker conditions falls under your constraint optimization problem. Okay, and there are a lot of other techniques through which you can solve your constraint optimization problem, but these techniques were not mentioned in your syllabus, so I have not gone through. But I will show you only the name, then I will switch to the next topic. Okay, so in constraint problem we have direct method and indirect method, right? And your uh, okay, we have like previous module 4 we had direct method and indirect method. Similarly, we in constraint problem also we have direct method and indirect method. Okay, so these things I will not discuss. Uh, you think, okay, sometimes this names come sequential linear programming. Okay, I will share these notes, and those who are interested, they can go through this sequential linear programming. But there will be no question based on this particular method in from your module 5. But sometimes if you are interested to explore more, you can go through this particular method, that is the sequential linear programming. Okay, and those who are interested to go through it, if they are having any doubt, they can also discuss over phone. Okay, so let me come to the today's topic, that is your transformation techniques. Okay, just there. 46. Yes. Okay, so today we are particularly going to talk about constraint optimization problem. That is the solution of constraint optimization problem using transformation methods. Okay, so under transformation methods, first you will try to see what is this, what are these transformation techniques or the transformation methods, and what is our objective basically while we are transforming a constraint problem. Okay, so in module 3 you have studied, or you are aware of a lot of techniques of solving unconstrained problem. Okay, and if anyhow we are able to transform your constraint problem into unconstrained problem, then you can easily solve your optimization problem using the methods which we have discussed in module 3. Okay, so in today's discussion, our main motto will be to transform our constraint problem into a unconstrained problem. Okay, so suppose we have constraint gjx, which are function of your variable xi, and you are able to transform your variables. Uh, you are able to transform your variables in such a way that you are able to get the minimum value as well as maximum value for your each variable. Suppose your minimum value, say call it is li, and your maximum value is ui. Okay, so you are able to bound your each variable, that is xi, between the lower value and upper value. This lower value is li and upper value is ui. Then you need to transform. You can transform. You can use this particular transformation technique. That is xi equal to li plus ui minus li into sine square yi. Okay, so here ui is your upper limit, li is your lower limit for that particular variable, and yi is your new variable. This may take any value. This we will discuss how this value is taken. Okay, this was about when we are able to uh, uh, bound your variables between some lower value and upper values. But there are other cases also where there, for example, you your xi value is restricted, say, for the interval between 0 to 1. Then we can use the transformation xi equal to sine square yi. Okay, I will discuss. I will take one example. Then you will come to know that how this transformation takes place. Okay, so suppose your xi is restricted between the interval 0 and 1. Then you need to use the transformation xi equal to sine square yi, or uh, uh, okay, so or you can take xi equal to, this is, or this is not comma, or you can use xi equal to cos square yi, or you can use xi equal to e to the power yi upon e to the power yi plus e to the power minus yi. Similarly, you can also use xi equal to yi square upon 1 plus yi square. Any of use any of these values you can use. Then there is third condition, that there is a constant that your xi has to be positive. Okay, if you there is this kind of restriction is there, or this kind of constraint is there, then what you will do? You will take xi equal to absolute of yi, where xi equal to, or you can take xi equal to yi square, or you can take xi equal to e to the power yi. Then there may be another restriction, that your constant value is lying between -1 to 1. Okay, so if your constant can take any value between -1 to 1, then you can choose these values, any of these values, for transforming your constant problem into unconstrained problem. Okay, so let us try to understand in the through one example, that how we can transform one constraint problem into unconstrained problem. Okay, so let us take one example. The example is, find the dimensions of a rectangular prism type box that has the largest volume when sum of its length, width, height is limited to a maximum value of 60 inch. Okay, so its length, width and height, sum of its length, width and height is limited to a maximum value of 60. The length is restricted to a maximum value of 36 inch. Okay, so what we are supposed to find out? We are supposed to find out the dimensions in such a way that it has largest volume, given to the condition that your length, width, height, summation of length, width, height is equal to 60 inch, and your length is maximum value of length may be 36 inch, right? So how we can formulate this problem? Let us use length, width, height be denoted by x1, x2 and x3 respectively. Okay, so we can and what is our objective function? We have to maximize our volume, largest volume. Okay, so we can write this function as maximize fx, fx1, fx2, fx3. It is function of x1, x2, x3. And how we calculate the volume of rectangular prism? Length multiplied by width multiplied by height. So this will be x1 into x2 into x3. So this is your equation number E1. Okay, then what may be the constraint? So constraint are that the summation of your length, width and height should be equal to 60. So we can write x1 plus x2 plus x3 is less than equal to 60. Another constraint, that is length is restricted to the maximum of 36 inch. So this is x1 is less than equal to 36. Okay, obviously the value of your any variable, that is x1, x2 or x3 should be greater than equal to 0. In any condition it should not be less than 0. So we can write xi is less than equal to 0, where I is equal to 1, 2, 3, because there are only 3 variables. Okay, so we have this kind of constraint problem, and how we will transform. Okay, so let us introduce a new variable, that is y1, y2 and y3. How we can introduce these variables will be y1 equal to x1, y2 equal to x2 and y3 equal to x1 plus x2 plus x3. Okay, because your constraint are given in the form of x1 plus x2 plus x3. So let us give new variable this as some value y, and this is your so for simplicity we have taken for x1 as y1, for x2 as y2 and your third constraint, that is x1 plus x2 plus x3 is less than equal to 60. So for this we have taken it as 60, sorry, y3. Okay, so your new the values of your x1, x2 and x3 becomes x1 equal to y1, x2 equal to y2, x3 equal to y3 minus y1 minus y2. Okay, then uh, you may rewrite your constraints. Your constraint will be now y1 will be, because y1 is your x1. Okay, so x1 will be the maximum value of x1 is 36. So x1 will be sorry, y1 will be will be between 0 to 36. It can take any value from 0 to 36. For y2, what will be the value? Okay, so for y2, if suppose these two values are 0, y1 and y3, so this may if x1 and x3 are 0, then maximum value of x2 may be 60. Okay, so your value of y2 will be between 0 to and 60. Okay, your y2 can take any value between 0 to 60. Similarly, y3 is already defined. Y3 is x1 plus x2 plus x3. So this can take any value between 0 to 60. Right. So so now we have got new constraint. These are we have got new variables. These new variables are y1, y2, and y3. Okay, so since we are able to bound our constraint between some lower value and upper value. There are some lower value, li is equal to 0 and ui is corresponding value, which is 36, 60 and 60. Okay, so since we are able to bound our constraint, we will transform our these constraint into using this formula, that is xi equal to li plus ui minus li sine square yi. Okay, so yi is another constraint. So because x and y are already there, so we will say yi equal to li plus ui minus li into sine square zi. Okay, suppose we are taking new variable, that is zi. Okay, so this way we are transforming, and we know that li is 0 and this is ui minus li. So since li is 0, so this will become y1 equal to 36 sine square z1. Similarly for y2, this will become y2 equal to 60 sine square z2. And similarly for y3, it will become 60 into sine square z3. I hope up to this there is no doubt. Okay, so once we have got these values, we will put these values in your objective function. So let us put the values of your y1, y2 and y3 in our objective function. Okay, so now our objective function will become function of your z1, z2 variables z1, z2 and z3, and we will get this value once we will put the value of your x1, x2, x3 in terms of y1. This will y1, y2, y3. This will become y1 into y2 into y3 minus y1 minus y2. And now we will put the value of your y1 in terms of z, z1, z2 and z3. We will get this term. Okay, so here we can check the necessary optimality conditions and these may be given by you can take your partial derivative of your given function with respect to new variables, that is z1, z2 and z3. Okay, so okay, so now your problem has been converted into a unconstrained problem, and which may be stated as f z equal to 160 sine square z1 sine square z2 in bracket 60 sine square z3 minus 36 sine square z1 minus 60 sine square z2. This term, this is your new objective function, which is representing a unconstrained problem. Okay, so for solving unconstrained problem, we have already discussed multiple methods in your module 3. You can use any method convenient to you, and once you apply your any of the method, you will get this solution for your variables, that is cos z3 will be equal to 0, sin square z3 will come equal to 1, and through this you can get uh, uh, in gross, you can understand that you need to solve your unconstrained problem using any of the technique which we have discussed in module 3. Okay, so once you are able to get the values of your z1, z2 and z3, you can put these values into your uh, once you are able to get the values of your z1, z2, z3, you can put this value in the equation of your constraint, that is y1, y2 and y3. Okay, so you through this you will be able to get y1, y2 and y3. Okay, so here also you can even you can convert this constraint problem. For simplicity, you can convert this instead of sin square z1, instead of sin square z1 you can take some value like t1, t2 and t3 also for simplicity if you want to take. Otherwise you can directly solve it for these values, and you will get sin square z1 equal to 5/9, sin square z2 equal to 1/3, sin square z3 equal to 1. Okay, so these are the values which are needed in your objective function. Okay, so once you are able to get these values, you can put these values in the constraint values of y1, y2, y3, and once you are able to calculate the values of y1, y2, y3, you can easily calculate the values of your x1, x2 and x3. So because these I got this ready-made example, so solution was available with me, and that is why I have not discussed the intermediate steps, that is the solution of this unconstrained problem using any unconstrained method, that I hope you will be able to do. Okay, so through this once you have solved your unconstrained problem, you will get corresponding values of the variable, and later you can put these values in your previous transformation uh, equations which you have used to transform these variables into new variables. Okay, so by putting these values in your old variables, you will get the values of your x1, x2 and x3. Okay, so for this particular problem, the solution is x1 equal to 20, x2 equal to 20 and x3 equal to 20, and the maximum volume that may be this is equal to 8,000 cubic inch. Okay, so this is a small discussion on how these transformation techniques are used in solving your constraint problem. Okay, so if there is any doubt, we can take up queries. Otherwise, we will stop here. Issuance, any doubt up to this one? Yes. Uh, uh, you mean to say if all the values are negative, right? Does not matter. Then you have some some this value maybe say for because for this particular problem value will not be negative, but suppose we reach at a position that these values some minus 2 to say minus 4, or sorry, minus 4 to minus 2, because right. Okay, so we can we will apply the same technique. There is no problem. They, you are talking about in this slide. Sorry, in this slide. In this slide. Uh, okay. This slide. Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So these are the conditions which we need to take care. Okay, so while transformation we need to use. Okay, so suppose we have some restriction that your constraint should be only negative. You want to say like this. Okay. Okay, so in that case, okay, that condition is not mentioned. Okay, so let me try what we can. Let me think what it can be. What could be the answer? Okay, so if suppose xi is constrained to be negative. Okay, so what may be the transformation? This cannot be absolute. Okay, so okay, I will check it. If any such type of conditions is given, then what kind of transformation is used. Okay, because these are the given conditions for which these particular transformation are used. Okay, so because you are talking about fourth condition, if the value can take only negative, then I have to see it. I cannot tell by guess. Okay, yeah. Okay, any other query? Let me